Welcome to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Student Body Right USC podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, and I am podcasting out the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day, beautiful morning out here. I can't see the morning right now, a little early, but I made sure I got my coffee for this interview. I am interviewing Jay Stevens from Locked On Buckeyes Network, so I'm sure he has Built Bars in his back pocket or something like that. Jay, you can find Jay at JStevens07, I believe, on Twitter. Is that correct? So
that is correct.
So for all your Buckeye news and everything like that. So I want to have him on for a couple reasons. We all know the Put On Waivers Media Group is USC football and Raiders, and there's some parallels there. So when USC lost the Pac-12 championship game, were you doing cartwheels after that when they lost that game? Because I know you figure when Utah won that the reprieve was there for you guys to make the college football playoff.
Yeah, the door was open. USC lost that game to Utah. I kind of thought that would be the outcome, but it's always hard to beat a team twice in the same season. Mm-hmm. And so when Utah won that game, Cam Rising, everybody else there, Utah Utes, I was happy. Cartwheels, no, I can't really do a cartwheel, but I can do a fist pump. I mean, I'll do a little fist pump action. But yeah, I was excited, man. Not just as someone who covers the Buckeyes, being able to cover a college football playoff game, but just a fan of the Buckeyes, the team. I knew that my fandom was going to take over, and it took over in that moment because I want to see Ohio State be successful. I want to see Stroud and Mayan Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. and all the other guys, Tommy Eichenberg. I want to see them be successful. I understand what happened Thanksgiving weekend, but I also understand the opportunity in front of them when USC lost in the Pac-12 championship game.
So USC and UCLA will be joining this conference next year. So I kind of want to get a Big Ten perspective here. Are people happy with that? Are people saying, okay, that sounds great, but what the hell are we going to do with the travel situation? Like all the stuff like that, all the parameters that go along with that. And is Notre Dame on the horizon? Like, are they finally going to stop being, in my mind, I'm not a Notre Dame fan. Stop being stupid.
Of course not. Of course you aren't.
I don't think anybody is. But no, I'm joking. Are they going to stop being stupid and just join a conference? And I think the Big Ten would make the most sense for Notre Dame to do so, because I'm looking at these schedules and I'm saying to myself, like, I'm getting kind of tired of playing Notre Dame, to be honest with you, when I'm not playing them for anything that's on the line.
So I want to tackle that part second, because I think the USC Notre Dame thing is it's a very interesting look. I'll do that one second. But first, the Big Ten side of things. Yes, the first thing everyone thinks about is the travel. It's not going to be as bad as you think in football, because the teams in the Midwest, they're not going out west back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
If they do have to play USC and UCLA on the road in the same season, the conference can set it up to where you play them both in back-to-back weeks, and maybe the team says, hey, for this week you're doing virtual class. Now, I don't know how likely that is, that you're playing both on the road back-to-back weeks. I have no idea. I don't think it's going to happen. Now, the travel for USC and UCLA having to go, let's be realistic. USC could have a game home against Nebraska, week 5. Week 6, they're off. Week 7, they're on the road in Columbus. Week 8, or they're on the road in Jersey against Rutgers. Week 9, they're back home playing Michigan State. Week 10, they're going to Ann Arbor. That's realistic. So the travel for those that are in the Midwest, or even to the eastern portions, D.C. Or Jersey for Rutgers. Rutgers travel, Maryland's travel, Penn State's travel. It can be a little weird. But if I'm a USC fan or a USC fan, I'm sitting here like, why y'all doing this to my team? Why y'all doing this to the team that I love and team I watch all the time? Why are y'all doing this? The weird thing is, you mentioned Notre Dame, or the interesting thing, not weird, interesting thing. When it comes to Notre Dame and if them possibly joining the Big Ten is going to have a new commissioner because Kevin Warren went on to be, I believe he's now the CEO of the Chicago Bears.
Yep.
And he was a big proponent of conference expansion, getting the conference to go from 14 teams to 16 teams. I think if he would have stayed, it would have been to 18 really, really quickly, possibly gone to 20 in the next couple of years. With him gone, I don't know how much of the expansion, how quickly that's going to happen. We've heard Washington. We've heard Oregon. We've heard other schools. We've heard Notre Dame. We've heard other schools that are involved in this conversation of joining the Big Ten. I don't know how far it's going to go as far as does Notre Dame join the Big Ten. I think it'd be wise for them financially to join the Big Ten. Scheduling wise, I don't think it really bothers them at all. Honestly, I think their schedule, if they go away from the 5 ACC games and they go to their old school rivalry heavy schedule, to me that's a tougher schedule than what they're playing now, playing these 5 ACC games. Yes, I would say you add in Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue every single year. Those are 3 Big Ten teams that Notre Dame has a rivalry with that dates back for decades. Yeah. And so I think they're fine as an independent. Yes, it hurts them in the playoff. It hurts them in other things in football. But when it comes to the other sports, USC and UCLA can come into the Big Ten, probably compete in basketball. The other sports, the Olympic sports, they'll probably do very well. Now, it won't be the money-making, but they'll probably do very well. You mentioned Notre Dame and USC and you say you're tired of playing Notre Dame. Why? I'm going to ask you this question. I know it's your show, but why are you tired of playing Notre Dame?
I just feel like if they're not, I mean, if they're in a conference and we're playing for something, like, you know what I mean? I feel like if they're playing, we're playing for a conference title, or if we're playing Big Ten West, like, just same way you guys play Michigan, then yeah, I mean that game has something, that game has something meaning towards it. I don't believe that coaching staff at any point is going to be able to build a championship caliber team as an independent. Just me. I mean, it hasn't worked. I mean, I know they got a new quarterback, and he's probably going to be drafted, so they have a chance. They have a pretty good roster. They have a good team. I just don't feel like they're ever going to be able to do it. Like if I'm going to play people out of conference, who's going to help me? Let me get a 1-point loss or a touchdown, a 7-point or less loss to a SEC team kind of helps you more than actually playing Notre Dame and beating Notre Dame.
See, here's where we disagree. I think that Notre Dame and USC is similar to Ohio State and Michigan, where bragging rights still matter. It's not always about the trophies. It's not always about the conference championship, the college football playoff national championship. It's not always about that. It's still, bragging rights still matter. And I still think, this is you, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
A lot of people that are Notre Dame fans or USC fans, they care about the bragging rights. And Notre Dame fans understand that's the biggest game of the year for them every single season. And if they don't compete, if they don't win that game, USC has the bragging rights. They understand that. Now, if you want to look big picture and say you only want to play games that matter, that help you in a national championship, then don't play cupcakes. Then all your non-conference games should be against Power 5 schools. Like, forget the group of 5 schools that are 1-11, 2-10 consecutive years. Forget playing those teams. Then just play those teams that help you build a roster and compete, that help you better for the postseason. I mean, that's the thought that comes into my head. Honestly, I think the bragging rights still matter to me personally.
Yeah,
I'm not a Notre Dame. I'm not a Notre Dame person or USC. If I had to pick one side to root for, it would be Notre Dame. But I still believe in college football, bragging rights matter. One reason Ohio State fans don't like losing to Michigan, there is no trophy involved with that. There's no team trophy that goes past between the team that wins it one year or the next. It's bragging rights. Now, when you add in the Big Ten East, which is newer, and the Big Ten Conference Championship game, which is newer, there's a little bit more to it than just the bragging rights. But ultimately, for an entire year, the winner of that game, Ohio State, Michigan, gets bragging rights. And then that still matters to me and a lot of people in that rivalry. And I think it matters to a lot of people in USC and Notre Dame. But I do understand that how things have changed to where people just want to do it's all about the trophy, all about that CFP trophy. And I get why you may say that.
Yeah, we are in a situation where it's going to be expanding outside of 4 teams coming up soon. So maybe that will help that game. But I just know that in this conference, that the Pac-12, and I know you're a big time, but like this has hella quarterbacks in this conference, in the Pac-12. So like it's going to be a gauntlet that USC has to go through just to get back to where they were last year. So I'll take you back to the Peach Bowl real quick because I'm not an Ohio State fan, but I can tell you I was cheering for y'all dramatically in my house because I'm so tired of hearing SEC being chanted in these stadiums. That last drive when CJ Stroud, scrambles and slides down, I'm saying to myself, okay, let me get as close as I possibly can for this game-winning field goal. You feel like Ryan Day went a little conservative there and playing for that long field goal, or do you, or is that something that that kick that a kick that your kicker has been making for the entire season? Because I know for us that was our first. We watch Ohio State play Michigan, and then we kind of like don't see them on the West Coast. We don't follow it just like that. But was that a kick that he normally makes, or should they have tried to be a little bit more aggressive, especially with the way CJ Stroud was playing and dicing up the Bulldogs? Should they have tried to get a lot closer to make that an easier kick?
So call me crazy. I think the conservative move would have been to run the ball a couple times to the right, get it more centered in the middle of the field for your kicker to go from a 50-yard field goal to maybe a 45 or 46 or maybe 42-yard field goal. I think that would be the more aggressive, more conservative move because you're handing it off to the running back. Running back is trying to dictate where the ball's going, dictate where he's going to land on the field. To me, it's more conservative. I think what Ryan Day did is what Ryan Day has always done, is put the ball in the quarterback's hands and said, hey, throw the ball around and move the ball down the field. That's who Ryan Day is as a coach over the past few years, especially with CJ Stroud. And I think the kicker can make the kick.
Okay.
Will he, if he had 10 times if he had 10 tries with that, make 6, maybe 7? Like, I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah.
He's going to miss some.
Yeah.
That was one of the 3 or 4 he's going to miss if he had 10 tries. I didn't expect him to miss it that bad if he was going to miss it. But he's a college kicker.
Yeah. And
a lot of college kickers are going to struggle with that kick. To me, that's the reality of that situation there. But no, to me, Ryan Day, I think he should have just handed the ball off to a running back and just said, hey, here's where we need to be. Here's the part of the field, left hash, right in the middle, a yard and a half to the side, a little bit over, not in the middle, but over to the right a little bit, a yard and a half to the right of the middle of the field. Get it to where the kicker is comfortable. To me, that's what should have happened. And even in the moment, I'm thinking, Ryan Day, what are you doing? Yeah. This doesn't make sense. This is why you see a Tom Brady, a Peyton Manning, 2 guys I grew up watching during my childhood. They would dictate late in games where the ball was going to be kicked to help the kicker. So, yeah, I mean, Ryan Day did what he always does. But, yeah, man, I mean, if you leave the ball in the kicker's foot for the kicker to kick the ball and it's a 50-yard field goal and you're in college, you have to realize there's a chance, a bigger chance than you think, that kick will be missed.
Yeah, and in the NFL, it's almost like those guys are so good; it's almost automatic, no matter where they are, especially indoors. But yeah, I was hoping that we get a little bit closer for that field goal, winning field goal. So, yeah. You can either squash the rumor or talk about or say you can squash the rumors about Marvin Harrison Jr. in the transfer portal, or next time it opens up to USC. I know that there's rumors out there, especially with the way they were able to get Jordan Addison last year. Is the quarterback situation for 2023 going to kind of dictate that Marvin Harrison stays or goes? Do you feel like that? You feel like this whole Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to transfer? Is that something that's going to be just a rumor, or you feel like there's some validity to it?
I'm a person that says never say never. I don't want to come out here and say, well, it's a false. It's not going to happen. No, I'm a person that really thinks it's never like it could happen. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. I will say this: Marvin Harrison Jr. committed to Ohio State. His high school quarterback committed to Ohio State. That quarterback, Kyle McCord, has not transferred from Ohio State, and he is, to me, the front runner right now to be the starting quarterback in 2023 at Ohio State. The backup, the freshman from last year, Devin Brown, really good quarterback, really, really good quarterback. Someone I think can sling the ball around and can compete to be the starting quarterback in 2023 at Ohio State. So ultimately, I think the Marvin Harrison Jr. thing, yes, there are people out there, people that are going to push that, people that are going to say, "Oh, we got money in LA, we got the fame, we got the things you want. We can pull some millions together to get you to leave Columbus to come to Southern California." Do you have Brian Hartline? And I do think there's a special connection between these receivers and their position coach, who is now the offensive coordinator. It's going to make it really, really hard for a young man to leave Columbus, knowing his high school quarterback could be his college quarterback, knowing that his position coach is also running the offense. There's a lot of stuff football-wise on the football field that are keeping him there. It's going to be hard to just say, hey, here's some money. Yeah, you might not be the same player. You might not be all of that. Yeah, you could play with the Heisman Trophy winner, but your boy who could be your quarterback, you could throw that away to go to USC. I'm going to say never, but I would probably say no. Mm-hmm. But if it happened, like I said,
anything can happen.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Yeah. How do you feel like you've been covering college football for a long time, and covering Ohio State for a while? Like, have you seen NIL kind of change Ohio State or some of the Big Ten schools?
Specifically Ohio State, I just keep hearing Ryan Day, the head coach, whoever the coach is, the head coach talk about money a lot more. That wasn't something you talk about. We all knew there were things going on behind closed doors or under the table. Things may happen during recruiting visits or a bag, man. Somebody might just, hey, man, here's a bag. Take this with you wherever you go. Youngster opens the bag. He's 16 years old. Hey, what's all these $50 bills in here for? All these hundreds in here. Oh, I see what y'all doing. And so they're talking about money a lot more. And I do think it's tough for someone who's 16, 17, who hears, ooh, this school down here in the South, they're saying they can pull $5 million together for you quickly before you commit to the school. But if you commit, it could be $6 million. Whoa. So you saying if I commit to this school, it's $6 million automatically? Yeah. Oh, this school over here, they can do this for it. It's more talk about money. What was done in the dark is now being talked about in the light. And that's been the biggest change at Ohio State, because I don't think Ohio State has been the biggest
collectives.
What's that?
The biggest collectives.
Not getting there yet. Not getting there yet. I don't think Ohio State's been the one of the schools that has been that used to break the rules a lot in recruiting as far as giving recruits money. I don't think they were doing that, but now you have to have a plan in place to assist a youngster to make some money while they're at Ohio State. Collectives wise, I think Ohio State's behind of the 8 ball. I think there's a connection with that between the collectives and how the athletic director, Gene Smith, views collectives and how he wants to use those funds. But yeah, I think just the more talk about money makes it harder for a coach. A coach wants to focus on ball, man.
Yeah.
Focus 1st and 10, 2nd and 8, 3rd and 11. How do we combat? What plays do we run? How do we get that guy that's in Athens, Georgia, right there in the heart of the University of Georgia? How do we get that kid to go from Athens to Columbus? How do we get that kid at Tuscaloosa to go from there to Columbus? That's what he wants to worry about.
Yeah.
Not hearing about his quarterback and this endorsement deal he has going on, and this endorsement deal, and this endorsement deal, and there's somebody here at practice who wants to talk to you about another. You don't want to deal with all that stuff, man.
Yeah.
He just want to talk about ball. So I think him having to talk about more about football, more about money instead of ball, just puts more on your plate. And those vacations that he gets, that they're less and less all the time.
Yeah.
He's trying to find ways to put the phone away and spend more time with his family.
So do you agree with so NIL, whatever, but like NIL is not perfect. I'm sure there'll be changes and tweaks to the system as we go on. Do you agree with them getting some? I mean, we don't know what the structure should be or could be if we had a chance to change it, but do you feel like that's something that college football players should get? The college athletes should get NIL deals, or do you feel like that's something that kind of breaks the tradition of what college football is?
Yeah, it breaks the tradition of what the NCAA wants it to be. Weird thing about the sport, NCAA does not run college football, but they have a great hand in what goes on in college football. It makes no sense. Yeah. Anyways, let me get off that train real quick.
It's so true though.
I do think NIL deals, name, image, and likeness, they are supposed to be endorsement deals. Mm-hmm. I don't like how they put an NIL thing tag on it to try to take it away from what it's supposed to be. Because if you kept it with true endorsement deals, I don't think some of these boosters would be able to funnel some of this money to these athletes, because it's like, oh, how you get it? It's like someone saying, I'm getting this deal for this, but what have you done to do? Like, I get a kid who's the first number 1 overall pick getting a deal with so-and-so in the NFL draft, or a future top 5 pick. Oh, you have a deal with Haynes under. Like, I get those things. Bro, you a 17-year-old senior in high school. How in the world are you coming to this school? You ain't done nothing, and you got to deal with so-and-so that's worth $2 million over 2 years. That makes no sense. But you're disguising it in a different way than just calling it what it's supposed to be. Endorsement deals. I have no problem with these young athletes making money via endorsement deals. I have no problem with it at all. Honestly, I think it's something that should have happened decades ago, but it didn't. And I'm glad that it's happening now. I do wonder, whenever there is federal legislation coming in, there's laws involved with it. I wonder, does it change? There's a structure, like, do you put a structure to it saying a kid cannot sign a deal or even discuss anything with someone until they're on campus? Is that something that happens to kind of restrict the things that happen in recruiting? Is that something that happens? Like saying, hey, you signed your national letter of intent on National Signing Day, but you cannot do anything with the NIL deal until you're on campus, either an early enrollee or someone who enrolls in the summer. How is that something that happens? I would have no problem with that. No problem at all. I know the endorsers the businesses may say, wait, why we gotta wait? Why we gotta wait to get this kid money? Yeah. You're waiting 3-4 months. It ain't that deep. They ain't even put on the jersey yet. It's literally not that deep. But yeah, I'm glad for the kids to be able to make a little bit of money. They're still, I still believe they're getting their cost of attendance stipend every month that they're getting for being on scholarship. They're still getting a free education. Let's not lose sight of that. A lot of these kids, not all, because some are not on scholarship all 4 years or all 5 years. Some are still walk-ons. These kids are still graduating and leaving school with debt-free, no student loans. That's amazing. Like, let's not lose sight of that. I'm for the endorsement deals. I love that they don't have any student debt when they graduate. And so there's a lot that comes into this. I would love to have them be more scholarships. Like, endorsement deals, yes. How about we just up the number of scholarships that are available across all sports? Because the money is there.
Yeah, question about it, man. You said debt free, man. My goodness.
I will say this, though. I will say this. The money's not there at all the schools.
Yeah.
Not all the schools can up this number of scholarships and maybe a Fulbright scholarship. It's there at some of the schools. I don't want you to hear me and be like, you're a Midwesterner, you're Ball State, Muncie, Indiana. Well, Ball State does not have the budget or the athletic department funds that Ohio State has. Miami of Ohio does not have the funds Ohio State has. So I won't say every school has the funds. Some of them do.
Yeah. So you did kind of go into who the quarterback should be next year at Ohio State. So I'll skip that question. This is also a Raiders channel as well. The Raiders had the 7th pick in the draft. I dived in a lot of all 22 footage of CJ Stroud. And accuracy, I think I love the accuracy that he has. I think people kind of put him in the back burner until he played against Georgia, which wasn't fair to him. I think we just, sometimes people will see, just like we say it's the East Coast bias, they'll look at our team once and say, that's who we are. I think we did the same thing with CJ Stroud. You guys lost to Michigan. Okay, CJ Stroud is not that good. And then we found out otherwise. What are your thoughts about CJ Stroud in the drafts coming up? And do you feel like he is the best quarterback, second best quarterback? Do you feel like obviously Raider Nation is really excited about the prospect of having him be the quarterback of the Raiders in the future?
When it comes to the quarterbacks in the NFL draft, I got Bryce. I'm not in no order. Bryce Young's up there, first round pick. CJ Stroud's up there, first round pick. Will Levis and Anthony Richardson are probably first round picks, but I think there's a gap between Young and Stroud and then Levis and Richardson. I think CJ Stroud can do almost everything, not everything. But when it comes to his arm, do you want someone that can anticipate a pass and a route? Stroud can do it. Do you want someone who's extremely accurate? That's CJ Stroud. Do you want someone that can fit a ball into tight windows? That's CJ Stroud. Do you want someone that can work with guys and that can develop them during a season, on the field, during games? That's CJ Stroud. Do you want someone that has the ability to make throws other guys can't make? That's CJ Stroud. Do you want a guy who could find a go-to receiver in any given season? Because year one, his go-to receiver was not the same go-to receiver he had in year two, and make a connection quickly and use that to move the ball down the field. That's CJ Stroud. He has a lot of tools. I don't even put his legs in this conversation. I'll just use his arm, his upper body, his brain. He could just, his pre-snap read to post-snap verification is phenomenal. I do think Stroud is one of the best quarterbacks in this draft. One of my knocks with him, sometimes the things break down. When things are going to break down, they're not always going to be how you want them to be on the field. When you have to improvise, sometimes a lot of times his mechanics get a little wacky, get a little sloppy. Not extremely sloppy, it's get a little off. And he has a tendency to throw the ball on the run or sometimes off his back foot. It was about Marvin Harrison Jr., Julian Fleming, Emeka Ibuka this year, numerous times where he's just scrambling, going back, kind of tosses the ball up when it should be intercepted. His guy catches the ball. Now, may say, Jay, that's because of the connection he has with them. Could be. But to me, those kind of throws will be interceptions in the National Football League. You watch the Peach Bowl. A lot of people watch the Peach Bowl. That hit that Marvin Harrison Jr. took in the back of the end zone. That, to me, that throw, not even the hit, that throw was risky. That was a throw that I thought Stroud should not make. But when he has to improvise and sometimes he extends plays, he does not always throw the ball away as much as he should. He tries to throw the ball to his guy because he trusts his guy, even with bad mechanics at times, to catch the ball. So I think Stroud's one of the best quarterbacks. Improvising, he can do a little bit of it, not the best. Poise, he's not the most poised quarterback. And I would like to see him use his legs more, but I don't think it's who he is as a quarterback.
So he's what I got from him is that he has the ability to kind of move, but you're not going to be running quarterback power like you do with Josh Allen with him. Like he's not a guy who is, because like some people will stereotype and say, oh, he's not, but he's if he moves, he's moving to pass the ball. He's not moving to necessarily run the football.
Correct. He is always moving to throw the ball. Not, I won't say always. And the Peach Bowl was the first time I ever saw him, and I've covered CJ Stroud with the past couple of years at Ohio State. That was the first time I saw that boy tuck the ball and run.
Yeah.
Like, looked like a runner.
Yes.
There were previous times earlier in the season when he tucked the ball and it looked like he was not really trying to be a runner. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? And people are like, oh, he runs in practice. He does it all. No, stop. A guy who runs in practice, but doesn't do it in the game, but does it sparingly in the game, looks like he does it in practice. Stroud in those moments looked like he was just trying to do something new. It didn't look good. No, I think Stroud can run the ball when needed. I think he was held back in the department at Ohio State. And that's one of my knocks against Ryan Day. Justin Fields is the quarterback who should have ran the ball more. He has those legs, has those wheels. He runs a high 4.3. Let the man cook with his legs. Like, it's not crazy. But that's just one of the things I wish happened more at Ohio State for Fields and Stroud, that they were allowed to use their legs on the football field.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, you just want a guy who can extend plays. I mean, we saw all over the NFL. Being able to extend plays is a huge thing. Last question would be, what happened with Burrow at Ohio State?
He got hurt.
He got hurt, and that was, I mean, because I've heard that I heard, so because I always want clarification. So I heard that they had a scrimmage against a team. He played very poorly. That's when Urban Meyer was like, I got a 5-star guy. I don't need this guy, and that's how he ended up leaving Ohio State.
No, during spring practice that year, I believe it was 2018. It was because 2017 was JT Barrett's last year.
Yeah,
and you knew it was going to be either Burrow or Haskins who was going to be the starter in 2018. I believe Haskins had an upper hand going into the QB competition.
Yeah.
Because I believe Haskins got in the Michigan game in 2017. Years get kind of mixed up with those things. But 2018, that spring practice, it was Burrow, Haskins trying to win the starting job. Joe Burrow had a hurt hand on his throwing hand. It's kind of hard to win a quarterback competition when you have a hurt hand. Haskins won the competition. Burrow was hurt. If Burrow was healthy, I don't know who would have won. Also, keep in mind, 2018, Joe Burrow's season was nothing like Dwayne Haskins. Wait, was it 2018, 2019? My years are all messed up. But when Burrow left Ohio State, his first year was not what Haskins' first year was as a starter either. So I'm not saying that if Burrow would have won, he would have thrown for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns like Haskins did. Like, I'm not saying that. But he was hurt. Like, he legit had an injury which set him back in that QB competition.
Yeah, like I said, I heard a story from an NFL former executive about what happened, and I was like, let's do his podcast. I was like, let me ask Jay about this question real quick. What happened as far as that goes? All right, Jay. Well, thank you for joining us here on the Student Body Right USC podcast. USC, for better or for worse, USC and UCLA are coming to the Big Ten. We know about that. And then obviously, who knows? Maybe a college football playoff in the future between these two teams. This year that would be really fun. Really cool fan bases with the Buckeyes and Trojans, so that'd be fun as well. And if you listen to this, you like what you hear from Jay, go to the Locked On Buckeyes podcast as well, so you can hear some Big Ten and hear some Buckeye stuff as well. Jay, thank you for joining us.
No problem. I really appreciate it.
Take care.